Good evening and welcome to the School District, the City of Dearborn School Board meeting. This is a regular meeting. Today is Monday, October 14th, 2024. It's 7:05. Apologize, we're a few minutes late. There was a committee meeting just before this meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee D'Ambrosio? Trustee McDonald?
Here.
Trustee Moses?
Here.
Trustee Petchikoff?
Here.
Trustee Thorpe?
Here.
Trustee Watts here. President Barry.
Here. Next item, please.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag. Ms. Susan Stanley, Principal of Salina Elementary, will introduce students who will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Go Wildcats. Please.
Yes.
do.
Thank you so much. We are so honored to have our Wildcats here with us. So we have Shahad, we have Dina, we have Ali, we have Hamza, and we have Isa here to lead us in the pledge.
Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us. So, ready? Hands on your heart.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Well done. Great job.
Great job.
Come up.
Come
this
up.
way
Watch your step.
And go right to
Go ahead.
President Barry. He's got
Who I
something.
met earlier today. Thank you for coming. Aisa, we didn't forget about you. There you go. Ali, there you go. Thank you for coming. Hamza, there you go. And Dina, great job. One more round of applause.
Well done.
Thank you. Go Wildcats.
Great to see you.
Before we go to the next item, I want to make a comment here. Thank you to the special ed PTA for having a picnic yesterday. Even though the weather didn't cooperate, they were covered under the shelter at Ford Field. And Mr. Mike Asali, who I saw here earlier, did a great job. Thank you, Mike, for being you. He pretty much knew every parent that was there, said hello to everybody. I appreciate that. I had a special moment there. I'm sitting there, I wasn't feeling good, so I was sitting in the corner, and there was eye contact between a student and I just smiled, and again, it happened again, and he waved. I said, okay, I'm gonna walk over there and say hello. As I was walking over there, he said, hello, Mr. Barry. I'm like, okay. I said, wait, how do you know my name? He goes, Hussein, you're on the school board. I said, yes, I am. And his mother came, chimed in and said, he watches all the board meetings for the last 5-6 years. I'm not gonna mention his name, but his pumpkin was green. He painted his own pumpkin, and I'm giving him a shout out. Thank you very much for watching us tonight. I hope I think you should have something better to do, but here we go. I'm just waving at you, giving you a shout out.
We try
Next
to be
item, please.
entertaining.
Superintendent updates.
Good evening, everyone. So I would just like to start with a moment of silence just for all those that may have lost the life of someone, whether that be in the conflict in the Middle East, or we've had a lot of natural disasters in the United States with the hurricanes and other things. So if we could just take I know a lot of people, it's hit home, and so thoughts and prayers out to anyone who's lost a loved one and their families. Thank you. So
I just want to add that there's conflicts all over the world and Ukraine too, so.
Sure.
Same
Yeah.
thoughts go out to
Thank you.
everybody that's lost people. Go ahead, continue, please.
So we're going to go down to retirements on agenda items. We only have one this month, Gwendolyn Turner, over 10 years of service. Let's give a big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you for your years of service. I have some positive things. I'll just go down my list. I know everyone is aware, and we sent out information press releases that we have a blue ribbon school. This is our 6th since 2017. There's actually only one other district that has that many. It's a big honor. It is our STEM middle school, and the STEM is kind of a reflection of the whole district because the students come from all over the district. And so congratulations to the staff, the students, and the parents at STEM middle school. There's about 12. They gave out 12 this year in the state of Michigan with about 4,000 schools in the state. and they give out 356 nationally with over 115,000. So we are in very short company. So congratulations to everyone, the district, the board, and again, all the employees and parents and school community. Also, I wanted to just mention a study session that we had a couple of weeks ago on infrastructure, and the board, we had a very good discussion, and we have a couple of RFPs that are going out as a result of that, and they did go out. One is on community engagement, and the other one is on infrastructure update evaluation. So we do have those two, and once we get those out, more will be, come. We did discuss, the possibility of, again, we have a lot of work to do of November 2025, or if not 26. So again, a lot more work to come, but those are possibilities as we all recognize that there is a need for infrastructure upgrades. And I'll be commenting on that at every meeting, or my team. We also had a bullying prevention committee that started. Ms. Zainab Serini is chairing it. I know we have Trustee Watts and President Barry part of the committee as well. I came to the beginning of that meeting, and so I think it's off to a good start from the initial meeting, and we'll get more reports and more to come, and we're hoping for some recommendations there. And one of the reasons I only went to the beginning of it, because we did have some candidate forums, and these are non-advocacy forums, they're informational. We invite all the school board candidates, and it's been a tradition we've been implementing before my time as superintendent. And what we do is we get to meet some of the executive cabinet members, give a lot of information that the candidates receive. And so we had 2 sessions, and so I want to thank all those who are running for the school board. The last 2 weeks, I also want to report really positive. Our homecoming events, they're fantastic with the parades that we have at our 3 main high schools. Last Friday, we had Dearborn High and at Fordson, and the week before it was Etzel Ford. So congratulations to all those that participated in the homecoming, but they're great traditions and great events. And the last thing I have under other is just that this Wednesday, we have our kickoff for the Care to the Core that we've been doing for multiple years. And we're really just highlighting positive things in the schools. And there's a whole program. I believe we start here at 8:30, and then we have some on location. So we're waiting to see what kind of suit David wears this year. Last year it did catch our attention, so no pressure. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Recognition and acknowledgements, commendations.
Hello everyone, my name is Miriam. For some of you might know me, I'm a current junior at Dearborn High, and I am very happy that you guys are, and I appreciate you guys having me here today to read the commendations and recognitions. Commendations to Dearborn High School's athletic director Jeff Conway, physical education teacher Kevin Barkoff, and head coach Coach Alex Greeno for their recent efforts during a football game against Catholic Central. All 5 officials for the game submitted voluntary reports praising these leaders and the entire Dearborn High community for setting a high standard of sportsmanship. Commendations to DHS Principal Zaina Jabril for her leadership in setting the tone of excellence. Commendations to Dearborn High senior Jenna Daklulla for her recent participation at the Michigan Department of Education's Back to School meeting. Jenna is a part of the 60 MDE Student Advisory Council. She was one of the 6 students selected to represent the group and speak to MDE staff, reminding them how important their work is in helping millions of Michigan students have better learning experiences every day. The MDE Student Advisory Council meets monthly with State Superintendent Dr. Rice to lead initiatives aimed at making Michigan schools more equitable and welcoming for students of all backgrounds. Commendations to Etzel Ford High freshman Maria Al-Qudsi. She broke the girls' swim record in both the 200 IM with a time of 2 minutes and 12.91 seconds, and the 100 butterfly with a time of 1 minute and 0.02 seconds. She has also made the state meet cut in times in both events. Commendations to Dearborn High sophomore Calissa Post, who qualified for the MHSAA D1 Girls Golf State Finals with a second-place individual finish at the regional tournament. The finals will be held October 18th through 19th at Ferris State University. DHS Girls Golf is coached by Dave Arnold. Now, moving on to middle school commendations. Commendations to Colleen Cook, who was just recognized as the Michigan Adapted Physical Education Teacher of the Year by Shape Michigan. The award recognizes special ED gym teachers with a strong commitment to excellence. Ms. Cook teaches at Stout and will receive her award on November 7th during a ceremony in Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you and good job.
Well done.
Next item, please.
Acknowledgement of donations.
Good evening. All right, a donation of $618.49 has been offered to Howard Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for flexible seating. A donation of $406.25 has been offered to Howard Elementary School by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for bookshelves. A donation of $552.39 has been offered to Gear Park and McCullough Eunice by the Dearborn Education Foundation to be used for Lego printmaking. A donation of $500 has been offered to Miller Elementary School by Abdul Nasser Alawa to be used for student resources. And lastly, a donation of $3,000 has been offered to Duval Elementary School by the Dearborn Federal Savings Bank to be used for the walking classroom project in Jacqueline Elabakoff's 5th grade classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our donors, generous donors. Next item, please.
Approval of minutes of the following Dearborn Board of Education meeting, Building and Site Committee meeting, September 9th, 2024, Board Report 24-41. Executive session, attorney-client privilege closed, September 9th, 2024, Board Report 24-42. Regular P12 meeting, September 9th, 2024, Board Report 24-43. And the board study session, September 24th, 2024, Board Report 24-44. Recommended action to make any necessary corrections and move approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Support.
It's a busy month in September. We have a motion that was moved by trustee Petrikov, supported by trustee McDonald. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Are there any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion is approved. Next item, please.
Next item, union leadership commentary. This new section of the Board of Education meeting is being added to further enhance the already strong commitment and longtime partnership between district and administration and all bargaining units. Both instructional and non-instructional union members serve on a wide variety of standing and ad hoc committees that drive the work and decision-making in the Dearborn Public Schools. In addition, administration meets monthly with the leadership team of all unions, as well as a group meeting with the union presidents. These meetings are not required but are an extension of the collaborative partnership that has long existed in the Dearborn Public Schools. This new section will further enhance the commitment to evaluating all suggestions, views, and opinions brought forth by all staff members in the district. The Association of Dearborn Schools Administrators? None. The Dearborn Federation of School Employees? None. The Dearborn Federation of Teachers? None. And the Dearborn Schools Operating Engineers Association? None.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next, special reports, communities and schools. Mr. Micah Saley, Ms. Susan Stanley, Gina Mrazek, thank you, and Sarah Sanders.
Okay, good evening, President Barry, Dr. Maleko, Board Trustees. Thank you all very much for this outstanding opportunity to discuss communities and schools, specifically here for Dearborn Public Schools. Before I turn it over to the wonderful team over here, I just want to provide everyone just a quick overview of CIS here in Dearborn Public Schools. And CIS is the acronym for Communities and School, just in case you hear that. First and foremost, it started in 2018, and actually it was really a highlight of the outstanding collaboration we always have with all of our unions. This one was specifically proposed by our teacher union president at the time, along with the national teacher union president at the time, to Dr. Maleko and his team. From there, we indulged with CIS. We started with, I believe, 4 total communities and schools coordinators through 7 schools. So obviously you do the math, some of our communities and schools coordinators initially, early on, were split between different schools. And I know I'm giving you some of the detail before they provide the overview, but I just thought it was very important for you guys to kind of understand where it started within Dearborn Public Schools and how it began. Currently, fast forward a few years later, right now, we're very proud to say that we're in 23 schools here in Dearborn Public Schools. A huge piece to that expansion came through a very generous grant from the Michigan Department of Education that we received just this past spring for over about $1.8 million, which really allowed us to not only expand the services for students through support coordinators, but in addition to that, provide our students with outstanding supports through mental health and other affective education needs. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Gina, who will hopefully give you a better overview of communities and schools and what they do on a day-to-day here in Dearborn Public Schools.
Good evening. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Gina Maraska. I am the Senior Regional Director with Communities and Schools in Michigan, and I am currently overseeing the Dearborn District alongside the Ypsilanti Community School District.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Sanders, and I'm our Chief Program Officer for CIS of Michigan. Thank you so much for having us this evening. Before Gina gets into some of our programming that's specific to the Dearborn schools, I'd love to just take you briefly through our model, which is, as you can see, is on the slide over here. You may be familiar with it already, and for sake of time, we won't go into a lot of detail, but we'd be happy to connect with you or send more information if that's something you'd like. But in a nutshell, our model is, we are an affiliate, so CIS is a national organization, and CIS of Michigan is our local affiliate. We have a site coordinator in 23 of the schools in Dearborn currently, and that person implements our evidence-based model. In each of the steps, you can see step 1, we do a needs assessment of the school, and we update that every single year to make sure that our priorities are aligned with the priorities of the district, with the school, and that we're capitalizing on the strengths of the district and the partnerships that already exist, as well as identifying any gaps and making sure we can bring in services to enhance supports for students. We develop an individualized school support plan for every school that we're in. In step 3, we implement the model of integrated student supports. There are 3 tiers that we operate on. The first is tier 1, which is whole school supports, and examples of that are assemblies, field trips, PBIS, other initiatives that serve all students in the school. Tier 2 is targeted small group support for case managed students. That includes things like lunch groups, mentoring, tutoring groups. We really cater the supports to the needs of the school. And then tier 3 is individualized support for students on the caseload. In addition to serving the whole school, each coordinator also identifies, along with the school staff, 35 to 40 students that may need extra intensive support. And then we connect with those students' families, we do an assessment for that student, and we check in biweekly or monthly with each student on the caseload. So that's our model. We are evidence-based, so what that means is we're constantly taking data, evaluating the efficacy of the model, and then making adjustments as needed. Gina is going to talk specifically about some of the programming that we've seen highly successful in the last few years within this district.
So at each school that we partner with, just as Sarah had said, the programs and resources that we offer are tailored to the unique needs of that school. So we begin with the needs assessment at the start of the school year, where we work closely with the school community to uncover what those needs are and where our supports are most needed. With that, we create a plan for the entire year, and moving forward, that plan will outline how we support the school and help meet their goals by the end of the year. The programs that we could offer range anywhere from academic support, case management, mentoring, to family resources, food security, and so much more. The key is that every program is designed to address specific needs for those students and the school community, ensuring that we're making the greatest impact possible. So the next few slides will kind of go over some of the programming that we've brought to the Dearborn Public Schools in the last several years. Some of those big ones are the Dearborn District Spelling Bee. And thank you. Thank you so much. So the Dearborn District Spelling Bee, I'm sure many of you have heard or seen it. This will be our 4th annual year. It is amazing. It usually starts at the beginning of the school year, where we start teaching the students the benchmark words for their grades 3 through 8. And we start at a classroom level spelling bee, very similar to the script spelling bee, moving forward to a school-wide spelling bee, and eventually the championship bee, which occurs in around March, where they compete for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. 1st, 2nd, and 3rd prizes, and the prizes are usually highly sought after. We're excited for this year as well. Like I said, it'll be our 4th annual. Another way that we support the students is by providing partners for medical, dental, and vision assistance, by bringing partners to the actual schools or having the students connected with a partner that provides these resources, usually free of cost. One resource that we worked really hard to secure are mental health student services this year through HYPE Athletics. And that just recently started, and we're looking forward to seeing the success of this program moving forward. So let's dive a bit into the impact of these programs and these resources through data.
All right, so there is a lot of data in your digital board packet, and so I just want to highlight a few things. On this first slide here, you can see the breakdown of basic needs units provided to each school. We do have a basic needs closet in each school, and we're able to broker those supports for students. In the 2023-2024 school year, so last school year, the total value of those resources alone was $592,220. And you can see the breakdown by category. Food is usually the highest need, and so you can see that much of our assistance comes in that, but we also provide clothing, school supplies, hygiene items, housing assistance, and other things as well. On this slide for whole school supports, this is what I was mentioning earlier with the tier ones. So tier one is open to every single student in the school building, and you can see that on this slide, it breaks down even further. Couple of highlights. I think our top three that we saw in the district last year were academic assistance, behavioral interventions and modifications, and then enrichment and motivation. And all of those also kind of tie into family engagement, which was also very high in that breakdown, just because we really prioritize bringing families in, because we know that when we support the family, we are supporting the student and their ability to succeed in school. And then finally, with our whole school supports, you can see this in your packet as well and take kind of a deeper dive on your own. But one thing I do want to highlight is that we are just one person in each building, and as much as we would love to be able to do everything, we know that we do have limitations. So we actually pride ourselves on reaching out to the community and bringing volunteers and other partners into the community so that we can extend our capacity and our reach to students. So our coordinators will do some of that mentoring and some of that tutoring and outreach directly with students, but we also really reach out to the community and coordinate so that other individuals who want to help out and to be involved with our students and families can get the training, the orientation, the background checks, and everything needed to then volunteer and be part of these supports in schools as well. And that's really kind of the basis of our organization, bringing communities into the schools. And then finally, with case management, this is just a highlight of the students that we served this past school year. I want to highlight that we do serve many students who are English language learners. Almost 36% of our students in the district were English language learners last year, and then additionally, 92% were eligible for free and reduced lunch. And then goal achievement. And I'll let you take a look at that on your own, but we're very proud of the results in that. Our case managed students have incredibly high rates of graduation, promotion to the next grade, amongst other indicators of student success. So you can take a look at that and let us know if you have any questions about that.
I'd like to invite Hiba up to the podium, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hiba Haidar. I am the Partnerships Manager for the District of Dearborn through CIS, and I was previously a Student Support Coordinator over at Dearborn High School. I do want to highlight that this specific position that I'm in right now has opened recently only in Dearborn. So throughout CIS of Michigan, this has been the only position that's been open for this district. So it's one of a kind and it's brand new, but we've been working very closely with the schools, and through the experience that I've had being a student support coordinator, we were able to take on that experience and bring it into the partnerships team. Now, there is a few specific portions in each of the partnerships that we have, and they've been basically sectioned, right? Because the partnerships that we have to study them and see the needs in each school. We have an academics portion, behavior and mental health, college and career readiness, basic needs, and health and wellness. We have to study throughout the needs assessment that we do in the beginning of the year. We kind of get an idea on what each school needs, and we reach out to our partnerships teams, which we are in, and we kind of get a little bit of an idea of what each school needs. I am going to highlight some of the partnerships that we've created, and I do have to point out that this is just a small list, and this does not encompass the community partners where we get donations throughout the year. These are partnerships that we have as far as programs that we bring into the schools and connections that we have that we bring into the students. For academics, we have, for example, MSU Extension, where they bring in numerous volunteers to come in and teach students, for example, cooking classes. For behavior and mental health, we were very fortunate to get MDE funds this year, and we were able to expand on our partnerships with Safe Place, also known as HYPE, and LAHC to shed light on mental health for the students and provide either recreational therapy or therapy sessions. For college and career readiness, we partner up with U of M Dearborn for any academics, any tutoring needs. For basic needs, we've partnered up with a lot of amazing organizations that help with clothing needs, transportation, really anything as far as assisting students. We vet them and we see what supports they provide. And when we do have those conversations with the student support coordinators, they reach out with specific needs for that specific school. We were able to partner up with Amity Foundation, with DTE Energy, with numerous charitable organizations as well. And lastly, we wanted to shed light on health and wellness. So we are huge advocates for bringing in health and wellness to schools, so athletics. HYPE has been one of our great partnerships, and I do also want to shed light on Level Up Soccer Academy that we brought in last year. They were able to do specific training sessions for soccer for students as well. So it aligns with health and wellness. Thank you.
And at this point, this kind of concludes our formal presentation. I'd love to go ahead and invite some of our panel up for Q&A.
Right.
I'd love to field any questions you may have or just curious about.
Trustee Petrikov?
Okay, I was one who actually asked for this because we have taken a substantial raise in what we're providing in our out of our general fund for this programming. I'm having a difficult time, and this is not to criticize, but in understanding how the funding that we're providing, how the funding that you're getting from the state coordinates with what I'm seeing as what is being used in the school communities. How many of the partners actually provide a service for free versus get paid? Is there, here, let me put it to you this way. Is there a way that we can see a report that has a better breakdown? I have a year-end report that I was given, but all it does is it puts in for each school value in resources. That doesn't tell me that's a value, but that doesn't really mean what's being spent out of pocket versus what's being contributed by a partnership. I want to make sure that we're getting the best bang for our dollars and that it's really going to support the majority of the students who need the support. And are these supports something that schools could go out and get? I mean, we could do a spelling bee. I mean, we're a school district. We don't need to have somebody come in and tell us how to do a spelling bee. But we have students who require transportation outside of what the bus routes are and could use that kind of support or maybe medical help. So if you can understand what I'm saying is, I really would like to see a breakdown of how much money is going towards paying for the people who are working in the buildings, who are bringing in some of the partnerships, and how much are things that are being donated that we can supply ourselves.
So just to start, I would like you to know that I started as one of the pilot program student support coordinators in the buildings. I was split between two schools. I immediately noticed that there are no staff that are able to go out and do what we do. Your staff typically is teaching staff that is needed in the building, whereas we are the community connectors. We are the ones that figure out what needs to be done at the school level, and we go out and we find that resource, fill in the blank, and we're there. You tell us you need transportation, we'll find a donor, we'll find a way, we'll find a transportation company, and we have done it, and it's happened. I can give you an example of Etzel Ford happened last year. We were able to provide a couple of students actually that needed transportation services through finding that resource for them. The spelling bee is another one that you kind of touched on, and I know you're giving an example, but the spelling bee is another one that I knew that to be able to partake in the Scripps spelling bee, you had to pay a fee of about $370 per school. So when we realized that there's enough of us to do this district-wide, we began our own spelling bee, and it's at no cost to you. We find the partners, we find the volunteers, we find the donors to donate the prizes, and we give our time as well. So it is an amazing community connector, and we're really proud of it. So, and I'll let Sarah go into.
And I'm not trying to criticize it. What I'm
Of
trying to
course.
say is I'm just not getting the visuals that I've been given with the pie charts don't really explain
It brings in what the resources are. Right.
The dollar, I
what
can't
you're
draw a
paying?
line. This is what staffing's costing. This is what, it's not like a school budget that we can say we're doing this much for this and this and this. So I just want some clarity.
Of course.
To understand, because my final question will be, and this will be my last question, is that then who in the is it the principal's responsibility to vet what's going on in their buildings to make sure that they're getting the programming that they need?
You know, I'm going to turn it over to
Okay.
Ms. Stanley to kind of speak to that a little bit.
And we've
Just
talked
firsthand
with this,
experience.
yeah.
I can tell you what I can provide, and I'll be more than happy to do this, is for our most recent grant, is we actually had to provide a breakdown of where we're going
Right.
to use some of those funds. And you'll see, some of those funds were to add new additional schools, but other funds were to add great things like some of these mental health services that they spoke about. We also did use a large chunk of that money for transportation. Just in case we do have some students or some families to where they just can't get from point A to point B because there's just a lot of challenges there. And I know Communities in Schools have been very, very forthright and very helpful with some of those situations too. With the second question, I'll let Ms. Sue Stanley, principal at Salina.
Thank
tackle
you.
that.
And as I listened to all of this, trustees, I wanted to say, while we love the spelling bee, that is not the biggest thing that they
Right.
do. So I really would love you to lead with some of the other things that you do that are just so helpful, that as a building administrator and as a team, we don't have time. We just don't. And the other thing too is we don't know the resources that are out there. I've been a principal for many, many years, and when I came to Dearborn and knew that we were doing Communities in Schools, I was really happy because it is something that I always wanted as an administrator, and we just could never have. And the reason I wanted it was because we're all spread so thin, and we all understand that to really educate a child, we need to make sure that they have what they need to come to school ready to learn, and that the parents feel like they can truly be a partner with us. Communities in School really provides that for us. There are countless stories that we could go on about students that have been mentored by the Communities in School people, and it made a real difference in their success. So it's that 1-to-1, it's the 1-to-3, it's the adult that's checking in. It's also knowing that in real time, I meet with our Communities in School person, and they'll say, what do we need? And of course, it's database, so it's on needs assessment and things like that, but sometimes those needs change. And so we meet all the time. She is my partner, so that they get the feel of the school and where our needs are, and hey, we can fill this for you. We can find this service for you, so that it is a dollar amount, but honestly, it is so much more. And as a building, none of that has ever come out. Everything has been provided for free. And the other thing that's great is that we'll have a community member come in and do some tutoring, and then they let somebody else know, oh my gosh, there's this need, and it just goes on. And then the last thing that I will say is the intentionality of what happens with Communities in Schools, how it's not just one person out there on an island and another one here and another one there. Oh my gosh, the communication that they have with each other to really bring better things. And each year it is more and more and more for our kids. And we all know that in today's society, our babies do need a whole lot more. And so we don't have the time. Our social workers, as great as they are, they're dealing with some heavy things going on in the building. Our parents need support. It's an extra arm that I'm so grateful that I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's wrong with spelling bees? They got my
There,
attention
there
when they were
isn't
talking
anything
about
wrong.
spelling bees.
I'm just saying,
And I picked up,
I don't have a problem with
I'm
spelling
not
bees.
saying that you do. I just wanted to point out that I also picked up that getting them ready for the spelling, all the learning and teaching that happens to get them there. So, thank you. You want to
But
go ahead?
I just want to say one quick thing, and I know we want to keep it going, but thank you. I can't top what Principal Stanley just said. But one thing I do want to just share with everyone is that we are very intentional about making sure that the cost that the district is paying for our services covers staff, and then we fundraise and we write for grants. We're constantly writing for grants, so we're bringing in a lot of dollars through in-kind donations, through grant funding. So we really, once the district signs the contract that states how much it is to have a coordinator in each building. Beyond that, we are bringing in resources without asking the district or the school for any more money out of their budget for that. So our commitment on our end, and it takes a lot of work as an organization, that's part of what I do, it's part of what our advancement team does, is to ensure that the rate that you are paying as a district does not extend beyond the salary of the coordinator, and they do all the work beyond that to bring in those resources. Mike and I will talk, and we can definitely put together kind of like a breakdown if you'd be interested in seeing. But that is the one thing that our advancement team has definitely committed to. And so what you see in terms of the pie chart and everything, bringing all that in is beyond, and that's the work that CIS does to bring in those resources. So yeah, we can definitely put that together, but that's a really great question because we are also committed to that. The return on investment for the district is important to us because we know that's what keeps us in the district, and we also know that we wouldn't be operating with Fidelity if we were charging more than that. So thank you for that question. It's really valuable.
Trustee Moser?
Hi.
Trustee McDonald, go ahead.
Trustee McDonald's before me, go ahead.
I really love the model, and I think that the work that you're doing is so very important because it does go back to a time where each individual school was like the heartbeat of the neighborhood, and I see that that pulls that back into being, and I think it's very important. My question, though, is from your model and the things that you talked about, the first tiers, the whole school and all, and that you look for individual students that need extra support. I just want to know that, are there any students that are left out? And it wouldn't be intentional, but do you, especially with the larger buildings, I just want to make sure that every student in some way that they need benefits from this program.
All our services are open to every student, so that's actually the tier one, like any student can access basic needs, any student can be part of tier one. The 35 to 40 students on the caseload, we identify along with the help of the MTSS team or the team in the school, but we never say no to a student need. So if they come into our basic needs area and ask for resources, they can have them, we will broker those supports. So we really, that's a question that we should have kind of clarified on earlier. Our services are open to all students in every school. And I would say I've been an SSC, I was a student support coordinator before moving into this role, and we find the students that get left behind. And we elevate their needs. And in fact, I would say that the majority of our caseloads end up being students that might otherwise miss out. And so we really identify and look for those students. And then when new students come to the building, we make sure they're okay. So we're very intentional about making sure that we're in fact not just including those students, but prioritizing those students in many ways.
Good, because I know that there are some students that might need some help, but they wouldn't necessarily reach out. There's some parents that look down on reaching out for help, even if it's just community support and making sure that the student is engaged and doing well and participating. So I'm glad that you're making the extra effort to make sure that everyone has that opportunity.
My name is Zara. I am currently at Gare Park Elementary. I served previously at Lowry and Fortson. And just to touch base on what you were saying, something unique about us is we also do relationship building. So we go into the cafeterias, we'll go into the classrooms, we'll look into the students, see what's going on. I'm a storyteller, so at Lowry, I did find a girl that wouldn't talk. I always saw her, she didn't have friends, she wouldn't speak. I sat with the social worker, got a little bit of background of what's going on. Mom passed away, Dad worked very minimal, and she had a lot of teeth issues. So she's in 8th grade and was missing all 3 front teeth. I asked Dad, have you looked into it? He said it's out of our budget. I called a dentist, and they immediately donated a $16,000 procedure, and got her teeth within 3 months. So that's what's unique about us. We care. We find out what's going on. I'm also a mom at Gear Park, so I have a connection with the parents. They're comfortable. They come to me when they need something. And we genuinely build those relationships to find out what's going on and to bridge that gap that we know teachers and staff can do.
Wonderful. And I hope that student shows her beautiful smile all the time now.
That's a great story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Trustee Moser?
Yep, thank you, President Barry. I too had reservations last meeting. I don't know if you watched, and I had a question about, hey, we're contributing a lot of money into this project, and I want to make sure that even the parents and the taxpayers know that these services are available for their children if they choose it. And I'm really glad. I love the program, and the coordinators that are hired from within the community to help our students. So just to refresh our memories, how many coordinators we have right now in the district?
We're currently at 23.
23, and they're
24? That's right. We have 2 at Etzel. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
We just hired our first student support coordinator that solely focuses on special education in Etzel Ford High School.
And if parents or students would like to explore the services that you're offering, how would they go about those?
We're pretty much at every event that you can think of. I'm not sure if you saw us at the back-to-school events. We've been at the PTA picnic that was at Ford Field. We give away school supplies, backpacks. We have flyers in Arabic, English, Spanish to make sure we're reaching everyone in the community, letting them know what we offer and how they can sign up with us starting at the beginning of the school year.
And I just learned about varsity tutors right now. That's a service that I used to pay for. So as a parent, how would I be able to get that service?
As a parent, you will, it will be those students that will be under caseloads at the high school level. I believe it's also 8th grade level. So anybody that's at the middle or high school level can come to communities and schools, student support coordinator in that building to get access.
They can also reach out to the building principal or whatever.
Yeah, the building principal will definitely probably, connect them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Trustee Thorpe?
To expand on what Trustee Mosip had brought up, there seems to be that a lot of the coordinators are connected to that school community. Is that intentional? Do we look for people that already have kids there or know the community?
Honestly, it was never the plan. However, in the 7 years that I've worked with communities and schools in Dearborn Public Schools, I've realized that there seems to be a magic formula. And many times we seek input from the principals of every building when we're hiring. And I work closely with every single principal to ensure that the staff member that we're finding is a good community fit. And many times it happens to be someone that's always been there. That's kind of how I got started as well. I was a prominent parent in the PTA of Lindbergh and eventually on to Bryant Middle School. I am a Dearborn district mom, and I was identified for the job and never worked for a nonprofit before in my life, but came in and loved the work that we do, saw the impact, and I think that seems to be uniform across the board, and many of the women behind me are highly involved in the community, and I praise their passion for the work that we do.
And one other question, because you gave us a lot of numbers, do we have an idea then of the number of students in our district that are being impacted by CIS?
So that would be in our final report from last year. We can send that over if it's not in there already. And then we also send quarterly reports. So that would be, as we build the caseload and as we serve more students, every day more students get added. But through our internal data management system, we can pull that report at any time. So we could pull that report.
I've got the numbers right here.
You have it? Okay.
Yeah. The total students served from 23 to 24, the end of year report is 11,956 students. 2,270 were in the whole school supports. 339 were case managed students, which is that individual students. 610 were in the small group support, and 1,568 were in the Tier 3 individual support.
Thank you so much.
Would that first number of just under 12,000 be the total, including all of those subcategories?
That one, yes. So that one includes tier 1 and basic needs.
Okay.
And then the individual number is the case managed students individual.
Well, you have two, because you have Tier 2 and Tier 3 individual support and group support, and then you have case managed students as a separate category here.
Yeah, so those case managed students would have all also been impacted by a tier 1 at some point in the year. So that would include those students.
But since these numbers wouldn't actually add up to almost 12,000 students, I'm assuming there's some other factor that isn't being showed here for who's being supported. That's kind of why I asked this question, because when I look at this end of year report and they've got each of the individual schools, it's kind of, some schools seem to be, are very heavy in their CIS usage. And others are a little lighter in you know, they might only have a handful of individual students and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to understand, you know, where these supports are being focused.
Yeah, I actually think I have, as you were speaking, it occurred to me. So we were part-time and we were splitting one coordinator across 2 schools for the last few years. And I think Mike shared at the beginning, for the first time this year, we have a full coordinator in every school. So previously when they were split, they would do case management in one school and not case management in the other. It would just be a general youth services school, which means tier 1 and tier 1.
They didn't get the full.
Right. And so now, because they were doing like Monday, as an example, Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday, and then they were at the other school, so we had to do half and half. But now we will have full caseloads in all of our schools. So I think that might be where that discrepancy that you've spotted
Right,
is.
so the next year's report will look a lot different than what this one does, which
Definitely
is why I
can't
had
wait.
the questions in the first place.
Yes, this year, at the end of this year, we're really looking forward to see what those reports look like.
You want?
So many of my questions have already been answered, but a few of the additional ones. So you had said that you just added a new full-time coordinator, thank you, at Etzel Ford for special ed. Do we have a number or percentage of students who have been impacted that have IEPs, or is that something that we could add in the future?
Not yet. We literally just hired on this person in August, so we are looking forward to seeing what kind of impact. But I know that they solely work with the special ed population. I'm sorry, special populations.
So it's anyone who falls under the umbrella of special population.
Correct.
And that was part of the grant on how we can enhance specific services at buildings. And we really made that decision based on some of the data and what we were seeing in some of the different schools.
Okay. And then the other one is that it sounds like some of the services or maybe the skill sets or superhero capes that you guys have, I feel like also kind of fall into with school liaisons. Can somebody, not necessarily you guys, but is there any partnership with our school liaisons that you guys have as well, and what does that look like?
So our role is to integrate within the school and build relationships with the team that we have at the school. Personally, when I was working as a student support coordinator at Dearborn High School, I was considered CIS, but I was very involved in the SRT meetings. So I would get many referrals to kind of understand what is going on, and we had that transparency and that relationship. So to answer your question, we're very involved in what happens on within the team, and also outside of the SRTs with the social workers, with anyone really within the office staff, within our team. We call them our team because we see them more than we see sometimes our CIS staff and team members. So we're very well integrated within the school, and we know everything that happens in the school, and sometimes they reach out to us with specific students that need help.
Okay. And then also, was it fair to say that you guys are there during school hours and then also provide after-school programs, correct, based on the list that I'm looking at?
Yeah, it definitely varies from school to school. The staff is not necessarily there after school unless it's been worked out beforehand, but however, we're there during the staff hours of each school. So if there are after-school programs, they've usually been brokered through communities and schools.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I will say they were very grateful last year with our early release. They really helped with some of the supervision of the students who could not go home early on Tuesday. So we're very fortunate for that.
Still doing that this year.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Maliko?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say too that over the time that we've had the program, I've been very impressed with what's going on now. Obviously, some of it's qualitative, but as you're aware, I make many building visits and I see firsthand and I talk to principals. And the principals, we've had meetings over multiple years, but the principals are extremely supportive because they see the work with the students. I appreciate, looking for data in that because that's what we should look for. One of the things, the timing, I will, say we pride ourselves on collaborating with the unions, and I will give the DFT credit here because they came forward in 2018, and then it was Dave Hecker at the time, MFT president, and came to meet with me, and it was great timing because we had just come from the National School Board Conference where they were promoting the community in schools. What appealed to me that it was research-based, but it also brought in consistency of training and a model that we didn't have in the district. We had different liaisons and things going on, but we did not have that consistency, and this is what it brought in. During the pandemic, obviously, they stepped up as well. I know there was some door-to-door knocking and things when we were doing that with other staff. So that's been my experience, and that's the feedback I pretty much get with all the principals. Mr. Hecker did text me a couple weeks ago, and he said, I'm glad to hear that, our relationship with Balmer came through CIS, and so we did get funding through that, but now he was pleased to hear, so shout out to him as well, and the team that we got $7.2 million for Balmer for the summer, or for summer school, and now we have 2 more years. So a lot of those connections I've seen, and what Ms. Stanley presented is what the principals are telling me when I'm talking to them in the buildings.
Well, thank you for the report, and thank you for supporting our students. And I know you attend a lot of events. That's where I met most of you. So thank you, and have a good night. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.